Hey everybody. We're gonna be getting started in a few minutes here around 9. So I'm just popping in to say, if you see the screen with the Echo Show with Maui and friends, there's nothing wrong. We're just starting a little earlier so people can hop on sooner. We will be getting started around probably around 9 o'clock. So about 15 minutes. We'll get going here. I'll probably pop in a little bit earlier to talk with you all a little bit as well. Yeah, so just sit tight and we'll get started shortly. Thanks so much. Hey everybody. I would like to clarify that I am not watching Kate Nolan, and I was watching with you for a brief second. I was just seeing how the stream looked from the viewer side. So, good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Echo Show. Hope everybody had a good weekend. I hope you found your protests and found some actionable things to do. So yeah, just hope everybody had a really good weekend. I had a good weekend. We've been doing a lot of planning for the Juneteenth event here in Forest Park. Meet us at the bridge. I'm very excited to be hosting that. So just wanted to give an update on that. So that'll be starting at 6. Well, you can start showing up at 5:30 to get your signs and whatnot. We will have signs that you can pick up. And yes, we're looking forward to that. And uh, then the actual program will start at 6. I will be hosting with one of our youth leaders. So it'll be me and Zawadi Brown. Very excited to be hosting with her. Let me bring my microphone a little bit closer. There we go. She is awesome. We just had a meeting, virtual meeting yesterday, and just very impressed with the youth right now and everything that's happening in our village. I feel like there's an energy happening in our village and the villages around us. One of those villages being the village in which I grew up, Maywood. And I'll be talking just a few minutes here with Trustee Isiah Brandon about what's going on in Maywood, as well as the protest march that happened from Bellwood to Forest Park. So I'm very excited to talk with him and just learn about him and his story, his journey, how he got to where he is. So really looking forward to that. Quick update, as always, we do this show in part because of COVID, and we had to displace our 2020 season to 2021, which cost us a lot of money. And so, even though this show is free, if you feel called to give to the Echo Theater Collective, here's our donation link. You can type it in your browser. If this is your first time tuning in, Echo Theater Collective is a not-for-profit organization. We use theater, art, and storytelling to give a platform to people that don't get their stories heard, that don't get to tell their narratives in our larger whole of community. We firmly believe that this is the first step into making things a bit more equitable by learning each other's stories. So if you feel called to give, please feel free to. Things we have coming up. We have on Thursday, Echo submit. We've done some locally sourced win acts, and we have some very exciting pieces. A piece written by an Oak Park native, Ray Vanek. It is awesome. I will be performing it. I'm very excited about that. And we also have a short one act called Lines of Duty, written by a lovely gentleman, Andre, from the South Side. So really excited about that as well. Yeah, so that's what we have coming up. Of course, we also have our ongoing trivia tournament. I'm hoping to have a couple of matches on Wednesday to finish up our first round of our trivia competitions. We have a lot of exciting stuff happening virtually, and we're really looking forward to sharing that with you. Yeah, so that's all my updates. So we're just waiting here for our buddy Brandon to pop in, and then we're going to really get into what we're here for, which is to hear what is happening in Maywood and how the protest march went over the weekend. So very excited about that. While we're waiting, though, if anybody watching has any questions or comments, please feel free to throw them in the chat, whether you're watching on Facebook or YouTube, and I'll read them live on the air and answer them if it's a question, or just read your comment. I'd love to hear if you were at the march, your thoughts on the march, or if you've been going to some protests, like the energy that you've been seeing at these protests, things like that. So I would love to hear any of that. Hey, look at this. Love it. I love you, man. Good to see you, Rosalio. So yeah, if you have any comments or questions, feel free to put them in the chat, and we'll answer them to the best of our ability. Oh, look at this. So Kate watched the march at Grant White from her roof. That's awesome. Kate, do you want to comment on the energy that you saw? How was, what was the tone and tenor of the afternoon? I heard it was pretty fantastic. Yeah, I heard it was really good, and I wish I could have been there. We just had so much going on. I was actually canvassing for the Forest Park event this Friday. The meet us at the bridge. So yeah, that was really good. Um, ooh, look at that! Looks like we got our guest of honor just popped into the green room. So we're going to bring him in now. We're not going to draw it out. So without further ado, everybody, welcome to the Echo Show for the first time. Trustee Isiah Brandon, how you doing, sir?
I'm doing great in yourself.
Oh, I can't complain. I can't complain. I'm feeling great. I'm feeling great. So I want to thank you so much for being on the show this evening, for sharing some of your time. I know you're a busy man. First of all, um, my first question to you, I just wanted to hop right into it. How did you become trustee of Maywood?
Well, I started just through my involvement and just getting involved in the community. I've been involved since I was in grammar school, attending village council meetings, and just being a voice for our young people and our businesses in the community. So I started speaking up on things like a light being out at our local park, or not having enough resources for our young people during the summer months. And just really started just being a voice, to utilize my passion to just make sure that youth were heard and that their concerns were brought to the table in regards to our government. And so I started running for office actually right after high school. Right after I graduated from high school, I ran in my first race for Park District Commissioner. It was something that on the ballot that I did not like. I did not think that it was a benefit to the community at the time. So I was like, okay, what am I going to do about this? I said, why don't you run? I was like, no, I don't have the time. I don't know about campaigns. I don't know how this process works. So I decided to just jump in it and learn about the whole process as I was just going. And so that election for practice commission, I did not win, but I did not come in last place. And there was just a lot of energy, a lot of momentum. It was like, oh, that's cute. Look at him run for office. So people just thought I was just too young at the time. So I just stayed involved, stayed committed because I truly love my community. I truly believe that we have just the talents to be a strong, resilient community. And so I was like, I need to stay involved. As the young people were packing up and shipping out, I was like, no, someone needs to stay committed to this community. Someone needs to stay here and to make sure that we're living up to our fullest potential. And I said, well, that'll be me. I'll be that champion for the community. And so just stayed involved. I ran again for Park District Commissioner. My numbers kept building up, so I felt like it's momentum. So I ran the second time for Park District Commissioner, and I had ran for trustee prior to that in 2013, and ended up getting, people felt that energy, so I ended up getting challenged by the opposition at the time, and ended up getting knocked off the ballot for a technicality. And so in 2015, I told myself, I said, myself said, huh? Right. So you've been doing this for a while. So if it don't work out this time for you, you might want to look at doing something else. Right. So in one of my events I had, someone came and the words were very simple, but so profound. And she was from Washington, D.C., and she came to one of my events that I had, and she stated to me, she said, son, you have to be exhausted about that thing. She said, if you want this thing to happen, she said, you got to be so exhausted that you have blisters on the bottom of your feet because you've walked every single block and knocked on every single door.
Mm.
And those words were so profound to me, and it really just I just embedded that in my heart, I took that with me to the streets of Maywood, and just utilize that those words every single day with the spirit of no one will outwork me on no day. No one will outwork me. So I just really took all of that passion, my passion for the community, my passion for youth and seniors. I really took that to the streets of Maywood and put my all into it. Didn't have a lot of money or resources, but just I had a lot of heart and a lot of heart for the community, and I took that door to door with me. In that election, out of like 12 candidates, I came in first place with the most votes. And so I was like 26 years old when I finally got elected. So I'm just happy to the people of Maywood last year in 2019. They re-elected me for a second 4-year term. And again, put me in first place again with the highest votes out of, about 11 people that were running in the race. So just so extremely grateful to have this another opportunity to serve the great people of the village of Maywood. I love my community, and my goal is to work each and every day, 7 days a week, to be a champion on behalf of the residents of the village of Maywood, because I believe that every community deserves a champion. And that's my commitment to the village of Maywood, to be the champion for the village.
That's amazing. That's a great story. And it kind of speaks to a lot of the qualities that I think that, like a lot of like Black people have like in the country, right? That resilience. I think that's kind of baked into our DNA that, we're going to pick ourselves up, like you knock us down, we're going to pick ourselves up and we're going to keep going. We're going to keep going with love.
Yes.
Right. Yep. Every time. We have a comment here. You have to be exhausted about that thing. Love. Love that. And that's great.
That sounds like a t-shirt. That sounds like a nice t-shirt. Got to be exhausted about that thing.
Yeah, for sure. Like that's such a beautiful thing to carry with you.
Yes.
And so you grew up. So you're like born and bred Maywood.
Yes, so I grew up in Maywood. I graduated from grammar school, Washington Elementary.
I went to Emerson in Maywood.
That's unfortunate. That's unfortunate. That's unfortunate. It's unfortunate, but that's okay. We can still be friends, though. We can still be friends. It's kind of unfortunate. I'm a Wildcat, so I went to Washington. Hey, home of the Wildcats. Come on. So I went to Proviso East High School. And then went to Triton College. Yep. So I went through all of the various educational systems here in the community.
That's wonderful. That's wonderful. Wow. I wish we were friends when we was coming up. I think I'm a little bit older than you, though. You're 26 now, you said, or how old are you now?
Oh, appreciate that. Thank you for your leadership. No, I'm not. I'm not 26 now. I'm 32 now.
32. So I was about. Yeah, I'm still quite a bit older than you. I'm 39. So
okay.
Yeah. So, but and my family still lives in Maywood. My grandfather lives in Maywood on 2nd and Wilcox.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and like as a kid, like I used
True Maywoodians.
True Maywoodians. Yeah. We used to go his hangout spot was Kathy's Kitchen.
Oh, over on 5th Avenue.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. So he was over there by Gene Moore's old office, 9 North 5th Avenue.
Yeah.
I used to be over there getting up the hungry man pancakes, eggs scrambled with cheese, with the bacon on the side. Yes. They're now on 17th and Madison Street.
Oh, are they still in Maywood?
They still in Maywood. Still in Maywood. Still a staple. Still a staple business in town.
That's awesome. I have to go back over there and get and pick up some breakfast one day.
Yes. Now you got me thinking about breakfast. Now I want some eggs scrambled with cheese.
Yeah. I used to wash dishes in the back because my grandfather, like, he was real tight. Like him and Dennis were like best buds, and like like one of my first jobs was washing dishes in the back. Yeah.
Wow. Wow. And okay, now okay, so okay, you guys, okay, you made one too. You got some made one in
I'm
you
not.
as well.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
definitely a story.
I moved out high school. My mom sent me to live with my dad. He was living on Austin, so she sent me over there to go to OPRF.
Okay.
And then I ended up coming back, and I went to East for like half a semester. But like when I was a kid, I got bullied a lot,
Okay.
and so like I was never really enamored with Maywood, and I didn't learn to love Maywood until I got a little bit older, because like it for me it was associated with a lot of childhood bullying.
Mm-hmm.
But then as I got older and started looking back at the community, and then I realized, like all of the amazing things it did give me, right? That
Right.
perspective of adulthood, and some of the amazing teachers I had, and when I came to Oak Park, I actually suffered education wise because I
Mm-hmm.
felt through the cracks. I did not fit in Oak Park, and so I felt
Mm-hmm.
through the cracks of education in
Mm-hmm.
Oak Park, especially because I had like a pretty rough family life at the time. I excelled through all of grade school and all of middle school in Maywood. It was not until I got to Oak Park that I started struggling with my education.
Wow. Wow.
So yeah, so I got a lot of love. I got a lot of love for Maywood. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, you know what? And the town has so many talents, from our strong housing stock to our location, to just the history of the town as well, and all of the great people who have called Maywood home.
Hmm.
It's really, 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 really cool. And for me, it's really giving back to the community what it has given me over the years. I've come into contact with a lot of people who have just embraced me, and just brought me into their family, and just made sure that I was just in good hands at all times.
Hmm.
Whether it was in grammar school, connecting with the village official who just brought me to my first council meetings. Whether it was in high school, just me working on campaigns and being an activist, getting involved, leading violence prevention marches throughout Proviso and things of that nature. But people always, like always, have embraced me, and just have sold a lot into me as well. So I feel like I'm obligated to make sure that I give my all back to this community, and I make sure that we're living up to our fullest potential each and every day.
I love that. I love
And
that.
that's really what it's about for me. It's not about the title; it's about the work, because that's what's going to improve the community. It's about just doing the work, and not being concerned about a title. A title means nothing if there's no action behind it.
Absolutely, absolutely. And like for me, like the higher up I am, like the more of a title you give me, that means that means that I am lower in that. That means like because like for me, like being a leader means to serve, right? It does
Mm-hmm.
not mean
Mm-hmm.
that I'm in charge, that it's my POV. For me, the best leaders are servant leaders, and so I love that everything that you just said. Now, speaking of that, right? So speaking of being a servant to the community and like investing in the community as the community is invested in you. You were one of the leadership that organized this march this
Yes.
weekend, and so I would love to hear a little bit about kind of how that came together.
Sure. So, I mean, in this moment, like everyone else probably has been, or a good majority of us has been, you're trying to figure out what to do in this space. How do you respond in this space that we're in? And in the midst of a pandemic, and just racial tension just across the board, and like, what do you do? So, I received a call last Saturday from one of our former residents. Her name was Miss Connie. She lives in Oak Park. And she called me and she said, basically, like, you must do something. You must say something in this space. Like, you must be heard. Like, you cannot, basically you cannot afford to be silent. So I was just like, okay, so she really just activated the activist that was already in me.
Mm,
And I was like, okay, let me get to work. And I just started calling people. And I was like, well, the first thing we need in this space is love, like never before. Because there's so many dark clouds just all across our country, and we need love to take place in this space. Then I said the second thing we need is unity. We need to come together. We need to come together. It doesn't matter, what community you're from, what ethnic group you are, or any of those things. We need unity. So the last thing I was like, well, we cannot lose sight of what has happened in this space either. And I'm just like, we all need to come together in the spirit of justice as well, because justice must prevail. We cannot be blinded by what is happening. We must respond as leaders, as individuals, to what has happened. Just in this country, and we must speak up, because when we don't speak up, we give permission for things to take root and to grow. Things like hate. So I decided to just, first of all, call upon the faith-based community, right? Call upon the faith-based community, get them involved. So we got, a lot of churches involved in it, a lot of community organizations involved in it, and they said yes without any hesitation. And I was like, well, if we're going to be marching, because at first we're looking at starting in Maywood and ending in Oak Park, or starting in Oak Park and ending in Maywood. But we decided to switch it up and start from Bellwood and end in Forest Park, and call it the March on Washington Boulevard. Put a little twist on it. And so I wanted to call the leaders of these various communities, because I wanted to make sure that things was done in order, and that we didn't just show up, and just the logistics. As a community leader, you don't want folks, just arriving. You arrive with over hundreds of people, showing up in a community, and like logistically, the traffic flow and safety issues and things of that nature. You just want to make sure things were in order.
Especially because we are still in the middle of a pandemic.
Right. The coronavirus is still around and it is still alive. So, just knowing that and keeping that in my head, and this already had a negative impact on, our community. So that was the first priority for me, was safety. So how do I ensure that this thing is done in a safe manner? So I called the mayors, Mayor Kathy Aducci from River Forest. I called Mayor Rory Hoskins from Forest Park, Mayor Andre Harvey from Bellwood, and my own mayor, and get in contact with her, Mayor Wena Perkins. And everybody was on board without any hesitation. Everybody was all in. And they said, oh, we will be there and we're going to walk in it. So they got the trustees involved from the respective towns. And this event really just took on a life of its own. It was just bananas. It surpassed my expectations. Like I don't even know how many people. We're going to try to look at the registration forms for, to get an official count. I don't know how many people. Like I don't even know how all those people heard about it. I'm like, wait, who invited all you all? Like, how did you guys find out about this? Like, it was so many people. And it wasn't just about the number, but it was about the diversity that was there as well. People came from everywhere to participate in this.
Well, as Americans, right? That's our responsibility, right? Like, like this is like one of the oldest sins in our country, and we're still seeing the bleeding from it.
Yes,
right.
Yes.
So that's all of our responsibility as American citizens, is to stem the tide of the loss of Black bodies in this country.
Absolutely. And just to hear the responses of the people that were there, like they were coming to me saying, what can they do? Like, how can they help? And just wanting to just be a part of it. And so when I saw the people, I was just like, okay, this is a real situation here. This is a real situation. So as we began to march down Washington Boulevard, we were led off by with a prayer by Pastor Annette Barker. who allowed us to utilize her location as a kickoff location, which is Christian Unity Church over in Bellwood.
Mm-hmm.
And just the support, that we've received from the community, and people were just joining in along the way, just joining, just being a part of this moment, and letting their voice be heard. That, of course, we stand for love, unity, but we also stand for justice as well. Once we got to the bridge over on Thatcher, it was kind of an iconic situation there, because we paused on the bridge preparing to cross over, and Mayor Kathy Aducci, there was a Black Lives Matter banner, and so the mayors was switching off as we reached their respective city. So as we were reaching River Forest, Mayor Kathy Aducci came up and she held that banner as we were entering in River Forest. And as we entered into River Forest, the people, the residents that came out, it was just an amazing picture to all unite together in one voice to say, yes, Black Lives Matter. And justice must prevail. Like, just to see them. And they were just along the street. I mean, they just came out, even brought their kids out to say that, Black Lives Matter. I'm like, this is what this thing is all about.
Mm-hmm.
This is what this thing is. This is why we are in this space, like, to make sure that we are bringing people into the fold, and that we're uniting people to let them know, yes, Black lives do matter. And we should be able to say that and not have to, feel like, oh, I'm disrespecting someone, by saying that, because it's important for us to make sure that we're letting other people know, because there are some folks that think that we don't matter. So we must make sure that we're speaking loud in this space to let them know that, yes, Black Lives Matter, and justice is important. When I heard about that 846, that time span that the knee was on the neck, that's traumatizing even to hear.
I didn't watch the video, but just like hearing that, I can't bring myself to watch like a black body being murdered on camera. I can't watch it.
And then we are in, like, we're on the same wave with that. I did not watch the video, because just being someone who's seen this, or who's seen like death up close. I've witnessed the death of my father. For me, there was no way I was going to, like, I didn't need to watch it. I heard about it, right? And to feel like you can feel the pain across America. Like, you can feel like there's this pain that you can feel, this heaviness that you can feel, this across America. So that was enough for me, to just deal with that heaviness that was, like, just being, felt, just, or brought upon me just by hearing it. And social media was just throughout social media as well. So I was like, there's no way I'm going to allow myself to. I'm not giving myself permission to even watch it. You are not going to watch that, because it's just too much. It's just too much on your mental health to witness something like that. 8 minutes, and that is a long time. That is a long time it's just crazy to me. Just crazy. And I heard about the story of him calling for his mother.
Yeah.
Calling for his mother, who had passed, who had passed. You're talking about a grown man calling for his mother. So that tells me he was in a real situation, that he had to call upon his deceased mother. So that was enough for me. That was enough for me. Just hearing that piece, I wasn't going to watch the video. So this was definitely, this whole event was absolutely in the spirit of justice, because it must prevail, and we must speak up when there's a delay in justice. We must, because a delay is just like is an injustice, because if you look at any other situations, right, and if you look at all of these other things that have taken place across America, regarding how they have responded to other races in regards to any particular crime, I haven't seen the type of response that we're seeing like in the African American community. I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, what type of? And when I hear about the crime that they're accusing this man of, I'm like, that is crazy.
Yeah.
You who gave you permission to take this man's life? Like, that is just crazy to me. So yeah, like you, I cannot bring myself to watch the video, but I wanted to make sure that my voice was heard, not only as a leader or as an elected official, but as a human being. I
Mm-hmm.
wanted to make sure that my voice was heard, and joining voices across this country, and to make sure that justice prevail in all of our communities.
Yeah. Let me ask you this. And I know that there's already like been some amazing work by the trustees, by the mayor in Maywood, by a collective of people in terms of like reclaiming the Board of Education, and amazing stuff happening with the Proviso Township schools. But going forward, after this, after what we've seen and all the energy that we see happening right now, what do you see is the next steps for Maywood in terms of reimagining community?
Right. So for me, in a stage that I am in now, for me, it's about like evaluating policies, because the issues that we face, that's where it starts at. It's systemic, right? So it's institutionalized. So we have to address these institutions and address the problems, from where they're created. And that's through policies and laws. So just looking at any laws that we have in place that prevent us or hinder us from like just growing and just being a strong and resilient community, and evaluating those things and looking at what's missing as well, and what's really truly holding us back from living up to our fullest potential.
Mm.
So I've been just looking at things from an economic development standpoint, just to see like, okay, so what's missing here, and how can we jumpstart businesses. I don't know if you know the history about Maywood, but it was one of the most affluent communities in this area, and we're talking about our business district at that time was like busing at us, with businesses along our downtown corridor, which is Fifth Avenue, and you know, people were really just excited to be coming into Maywood, and that's because of the economics were different at that time. You had companies like the American Can Company that was here back in like the 1960s, and that company employed like 7 to 8,000 people. Then you had like Canada Dry, that was headquartered in the community. They employed another couple of thousand people as well. So people were, you were able to support, just a thriving downtown. We had 2 grocery stores, 2 Jewel-Osco, one on Roosevelt Road, the other one on St. Charles and 21st, 2 movie theaters in town, just shopping, just centers, along our Fifth Avenue downtown corridor. So it's an economic issue. So we have to figure out, how do we change that piece? Like, how do we change the economic piece to make sure that, we are, rebuilding this community, and making sure that we're creating a community, that's resilient at the same time.
Yeah.
And I'm just, at every corner. And you spoke to some of the things, you spoke to a piece that is very critical in relates to creating a strong and thriving community. The educational system is important. So there has been a lot of positive changes when it relates to our educational system. Our high school district and our feeder schools as well. So that is what brings families, into communities. So want to know what the quality of the educational system. So I'm excited about what's happening within our high schools, and especially Proviso East. Excited about the energy there. PMSA, and just across the whole district about what's happening. So kudos to the school board for making those needed and necessary changes to help us, because we're all in this process together, create a thriving thriving community. And I think that we all play such a critical role in doing that.
Yeah, it's funny. Before the COVID happened, we were so with my theater company, because I started it in Oak Park because that's where I had the support to start.
Okay.
But we this year we were being very intentional actually about bringing live theater to Forest Park and bringing live theater to Maywood. We were
Mm-hmm.
actually going to be doing a production at the Maywood Park District. We were going to put up a temporary stage at the Park District building on 9th and do a production of a show about education set in
Mm-hmm.
a fictional school in Chicago. And so to bring back those grand traditions, like people I don't think realize just how beautiful Maywood is, and I feel like it's very much overlooked. I remember as
Mm-hmm.
a kid, like people would say that's just that's like Little West Side,
Mm-hmm.
like that's just like an extension of that, and and Maywood has its issues just like any other community does, but there's also all these beautiful things about it if we look at it holistically. And
Mm-hmm.
so we were actually excited to create a more intentional partnership with Maywood. So I'm very excited for where Maywood is going. I'm very excited for where you, as one of the leaders in Maywood, is pushing it to be its best self and pushing its citizens to redefine community with you. So I really want to applaud you for that. We have
Appreciate it.
tons of comments here in here. Apparently, from Rosalio says that he met you on the campaign trail, and you've been delivering the best of yourself. You've been amazing and always in side by side with the people. That you're a treasure, truly an amazing official, and we need people like you. You're special.
Appreciate it.
He
Appreciate it.
also says you're a good singer too. That's what I hear.
That's funny. That's funny.
And then we've had people posting about the article in the Village Free Press about the March on Washington and photos. So be sure to check that out. You click on the link in the comments if you want to see some of the photos from the march. Yeah, so I just
Yeah.
really wanted to shout you out there, man, and just give you a platform to talk. I just wanted to hear you talk for a little bit because I've seen you. We've been in rooms together. I've heard you speak, and I've always been inspired by you and the work that you're doing. And I wish I had the initiative that you had in your youth. That you heard the call so early and that you're so engaged. So I just want to say even though I'm, a few years older than you, you are a hero to me. Like that. Like I find my heroes in my communities, and I think you're definitely a hero. So thank you so much for everything that you do.
Appreciate that. Thank you so much. And I'm just humbled. For me, just about remaining. I always tell people, you got to keep your feet on the ground and just do the work. Just show up, and put on your best performance. And at the end of the day, that's all you can do. When you can say that I did my best in this space, and I made a difference. I left my mark. My goal is I don't know how long I'm going to be in politics. I don't know what God has in store for me, but like my focus is always to make sure that I leave a mark so people know that I existed in this space. I think that a lot of times we find ourselves just existing um, when we have the opportunity to thrive. And I would just encourage everybody: don't just exist when you can thrive in any space that you are in, and especially to our young people, the future leaders of our community. It's important for us to be the light for them, because they may come in contact with like a lot of darkness. So we just gotta be the light. We have to show them that there are positive ways where you can make an impact in your community, and that you could, you know, be a part of change. And it starts with us. It starts with us. Like you have to be the change. Like President Obama said, you have to be the change you want to see. It starts with you. Like we just can't sit in our house and complain about it. We have to get involved. We have to be a part of the process. We have to speak up, so that we can, be heard. Those things are very much important. And that you're right. You are absolutely right when you stated that. Because I did the same thing. We kind of got the same kind of process. Like the heroes are like the people on the grounds making a difference, doing the work, right? And I use that same process. So for me, it was the many people that I've come into contact with over the years who've been my champion, in the community. And I just owe it to Maywood to make sure that I'm, being a champion for the residents of the village of Maywood each and every day.
Amen. Well, I think that's it, man. I think that was one wonderful interview. One last time, I want to thank you so much.
Thank you.
Facebook, YouTube, let them know how y'all feel in the comments. I see all these wonderful comments, and please show your love for a person that's putting love out into the world. I'd love to have you on again sometime and talk to you some more, talk about some other things. I'd love to talk to you behind the scenes about trying to be more present and bring some more live theater to Maywood.
Yes.
I just think that our art and our culture, black art, black culture is a wonderful thing, and I would love to bring more of it to the Proviso area. So thank you so much for being on our show. I'm gonna let you go. Thank you so much. Yeah, very
Appreciate it.
excited to
Thank you
talk
for
to
the
you.
invitation. Thank you.
Yeah,
Appreciate it. Thank you.
absolutely. We'll talk soon, brother. Be safe.
Yeah, you too. Thank you.
All right. So that was the one and the only trustee, Isiah Brandon. Wonderful interview. Man, just blew my mind. Just really inspired me. Yeah. So please make sure you're following what's happening in Maywood, because there's some amazing stuff happening in Maywood right now. And even I don't care if you don't live in Maywood. If you live in Forest Park, if you live in Berwyn, if you live in Oak Park, wherever you live, it is important to invest in the communities around us, and especially the communities that don't have as much resources, right? So Oak Park, y'all got a lot of resources. You know, extend the hand. Be and use Forest Park to be that bridge, right? We are not just siloed communities. We are one large community together, the Greater West Side. It is important for us to be there for each other in real substantive ways, not in the way that takes agency from each other, right? Let Maywood lead when doing Maywood stuff, right? That's important. Forest Park turned up for the Bellwood to Maywood March. Maywood, I'm sure, is going to turn up for the Forest Park, meet us at the bridge. It's important for us to turn up for each other. So thank you guys so much for watching tonight. Once again, if you like our interviews, if you like what we're doing with the Echo Show, feel free to donate. It is not needed to watch the show. The show is always free of charge. But if you feel called to give, please do pay what you can. We suggest $10. If you have to give less, that's fine. If you have to give more, that's fine. If you can't give anything, that's fine too. But if you feel called, please do give. I will be back here on Wednesday with a couple more trivia matches. Friday, we will not be doing a show in observance of Juneteenth, but please do meet us at the bridge. You can, so right here, don't forget, Friday, Juneteenth, 2020, meet us at the bridge. It is going to be at 6 p.m. We're going to occupy the Circle Bridge. I will be hosting along with one of our youth leaders. We're very excited for it. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful day. And as we always end the show, in all things, echo love. Good night.